Hi, and welcome to week 4 of our January video series on setting a 2020 vision for your post-divorce life. This week we're going to be talking about co-parenting. We're going to share with you our top 5 tips for co-parenting with your former partner. Before I get into these, I want to preface it with saying that these tips are for people who generally get along with each other. These are not tips for people that are victims of domestic violence, that have orders of protection against their former partner, or people that feel their former partner is threatening them or unsafe. If you feel any of those things, these tips are not for you. These are for people that feel safe. So here we go. Our first tip is about communication. You need to figure out the right level of communication between you and your former partner. And what I mean by this is, how much communication can you handle? Some people can communicate openly and regularly and they don't have a problem with it. Other people need to really limit their communication in order to limit arguments. And you'll know what the right level is because you're going to start to get stressed out if you're communicating too much. So if it feels uncomfortable, overwhelming, or stressful, you're doing it too much and you need to pull it back some. For people that are dealing with a toxic co-parent, not someone who's an abuser, but just someone who likes to argue and disagree, it's better to keep those communications in writing. Email's really the best. Text can feel like you're being attacked all the time, so we like to keep it email and text whenever necessary. We really advise against a lot of in-person communication or over the phone. One thing that can help you and your co-parent communicate about what's going on with your kids is a shared calendar. If you have iPhones, they have that available. You can use Google Calendar, or there's lots of free apps available. There's also co-parenting apps that you can pay for if you would like. If you're going to do that, you may want to get a court order just to make sure that both people are actually using the app and not using it sometimes and not other times. So that can get a little chaotic. Our second tip is, and this is really hard for people, but you have to learn that you can't control what goes on at the other parent's house. You guys are both parents and you get to make those decisions about bedtimes, what you're eating for meals, what friends come over, access to electronic devices, all those kinds of things. And this is really a mindset thing. So you have to learn you can't control it. You have to not sweat the small stuff. It just doesn't matter if the kids have McDonald's every day. You have to get over it. And you have to pick your battles. Figure out what is really important to you and what you don't want to compromise on, and focus on those things. The things that aren't as important, you got to let those go. And one way to assess that is to step back and go, will this matter next year, in 5 years? Is this really having an impact on my child's life, or am I just mad? The next tip is you have to put your kids first. They didn't ask for this situation. They got brought into it, and it's not a bad outcome, but it's probably not what you had hoped for when you said those wedding vows or when that baby was born. So you have to put their needs first. It's not about you anymore. It really is about them, and the way to help them grow into the people that we want them to be is by putting their needs first. So some ways to do that are to think about what is best for them as far as their contact with the other parent, to keep the other parent as involved in their life as possible, to learn how to be civil with the other parent, because there's going to be stuff that comes up, sporting events, graduations, school plays, that you guys, both parents, need to be at that. And you don't want to cause stress for your child if they're worrying about, oh, are my parents going to have a big fight in front of all of my friends? Because that's robbing them of all the joy that they have at that event. And you want to make sure you're keeping adult conversations between adults. The children don't need to be involved in, can we switch weekends? Or, why didn't mommy make sure you took a bath? Or why didn't daddy do homework with you? Those are conversations that should be occurring between parents and not have kids in the middle of it. Our fourth tip, and this kind of goes along with the previous tip, is don't talk badly about the other parent in front of your kids. The biggest reason for this is kids know that they're half mom and half dad. And if you're talking badly about the other parent, you're telling the kid that half of them is bad. And we don't want to do that. And you want to be really mindful of ways that you could be unintentionally talking bad about the other parent. So sometimes we're having phone conversations, not even with the other parent, but maybe with our friend or a family member. We're trying to vent about something that happened. And little ears can hear things that we don't necessarily know they're hearing. So you want to be really mindful of that. And you also want to be mindful of some nonverbal things that you could be doing. So say you're at a baseball game and you see your co-parent and you guys have a conversation and maybe you throw your hands up like, oh, like that. Your kids are seeing that, or eye rolls or other hand gestures. They can see that and they know what it means. So you want to be really mindful that you're not doing any of those things. And you also want to make sure that no one else in your life is doing those things. Sometimes grandparents are guilty of that, aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. So make sure you have those conversations with them about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Our final tip, and this is something that people struggle with the most, is this idea that co-parenting should involve fairness of time, fairness of responsibility. And I want to tell you that that's not a thing. We can't measure our co-parenting in terms of fairness. It needs to be measured in what's best for the children. Sometimes equal time isn't best for the children. Sometimes taking on equal responsibility isn't best for the children, or it's simply not possible because of work schedules or where everyone lives. If the sooner you can accept that fact that it is not fair, the happier you will be. It's a big mindset shift, but if you can do it, it will make your life so much easier. We really hope that you enjoyed all these tips. If you think they will help someone else, please like, share, tag. We want to get this message out to as many people as possible. If you're like, hey, I don't want people to know that I am listening to this stuff, you know what? I don't want to make these videos. It's really hard for me, but I don't know who it's going to help. And there's a lot of people that need our help. So if you can share this, you may help someone that you don't even know needs the help. And we super appreciate you sharing these videos. If you ever have any questions or you want to come in and talk to us, please give us a call. We'll schedule a consultation. You can send us a direct message and I'd be happy to answer all your questions. So thank you so much. Have a great day.